Hello, I bet you're as surprised to see me in July of 2020 as I am to be here. But I thought I would give everyone an update on where things are going with the Phase 3 construction. We're going to start on a positive note today. In Anderson, Courtyard, the library doors have been installed. There's still some trim work that needs to be done, but in general, the doors are in place. They also, next week, are scheduled to come in and complete the remaining pavers that need to be done. The pergola is scheduled to be delivered and installed late in the week, and the fine earth subcontractor will be working to place the sod and the additional matting that doesn't get completed today. I will ask you to please be careful in this area, as it is really not ready to be occupied, but once all of the work has been done, they will come in and clean, and we'll be able to turn the entire area back to Kendall for their use. We're also working to complete last few items in the Anderson dining area and the renovations, and there's just a few items that we want to check off the list and make sure everything's ready when dining can resume. In Borden, I'm happy to report that all of the rooms have been turned over to Kendall. They're all ready for occupancy when the need arises. Still have work to do in the hallways and in the common area. The sunroom, activities area, conference room area will be one of the last areas that get completed. But in general, all of the rooms have been renovated. The physical therapy gym area is really beginning to take shape. There is, they're painting, they're working on putting in the ceiling and the cabinets, and once all that gets completed, then they will start with getting the flooring done. The equipment is scheduled to come in late August, and once that's all taken care of and we can get all the approvals from the health department and the county, that area will be ready for occupancy. The pavement right out front of Borden is scheduled to be completed on Monday, July the 6th. There's several areas that will be paved on that day, and I'll mention those as we go along. I think another area that people have questions about have been the ramp area. They have been working on that area quite a bit. I have a picture that Jessica will put into the presentation to show you. Now it's looking a little rough, but work is proceeding in that area. There's some utilities that need to be relocated, and once that's complete, they'll start painting and the flooring will be done. They've broken through the staff lounge area, and that was one of the final steps that needed to be done to get this area all completed. I know that on the addition areas, people have been concerned, as have I, about there's been quite a bit of grass that has been growing in the mulch beds. I said that the best place that the grass is grown is in the mulch beds, as opposed to in the areas that have been seeded and grass was supposed to be growing. But rest assured, that is definitely on the radar. The subcontractor is aware of it, and we expect that to be taken care of in the next week or two. There's also a couple trellises that are incomplete out in the Borden area, and that will be installed late next week or early the following week. If you haven't noticed, the fencing for the dog park has been put in place. Now to Webster. I think anybody that's walked by that area has noticed there's been some additional outside activity. They've removed most of the old asphalt. They're starting to shape up the sidewalk. The sidewalk has been poured from the new addition over to close to the north entrance. And once we get all of that area cleaned up, it will all be connected. The old asphalt sidewalk will be removed, and the area will be landscaped. The two apartments in Webster, 318 and 320, should be turned over to Kendall. One has already been turned over, and the second should be turned over this week. And we're finally happy to report that, because that has been a long time in coming. The renovations in Webster hit a little bit of a snag. We had, what was behind the walls wasn't exactly what was shown on the plans. We have brought in the structural engineer, they've been working with the contractor, and we should be back on track, hopefully next week, to continue with those renovations. They have been able to work on the utilities in there. There's been a lot of fire sprinkler work and plumbing, electrical, mechanical, all of those type of things are moving forward. We just need to get the structural element taken care of. I know most of you have noticed that there's been work going on down at the emergency access road. We were able to get the landscape rocks in place. They did a little bit of fine grading on the ditches, finalized the stone and bedding for that road, and just getting it prepared for crack sealing. And next week when they do the paving in front of Borden, they are also going to take care of the emergency access road, and that should finalize the majority of the work in that area. If you, just as a reminder, it is for emergency access only, so we should have limited vehicular traffic in that area. The third element of paving that's going to take place next week is also the staff parking outside of Webster. I think you've seen some work going on there for the last couple of weeks, and that should all be completed early next week. Let's hope that the dry weather holds off for a little bit longer. So that pretty much concludes for the main facility type buildings, and I'll just give a short update on what's been happening up on the Independent Living Ridge. They have been working on 2 of the 3 bioretention ponds. The largest bioretention pond is in place. The matting has been installed upstream of that, and if you haven't been walking by in that area, you might just take a look over the hill and see what's down there. There still needs to be some plantings put in that. It will not hold water on a permanent basis. It would just be a filtration system. It's basically a large rain garden, and I think most people are familiar with that term, rain garden. That bioretention is a fancy name for a rain garden. They've also been working on replacing the damaged curb and gutter. We had done an inspection 2 weeks ago, identified some areas that needed to be replaced. Contractors came back in, took out the damaged curb and gutter, put in new. There was 3 driveways that had areas that also needed to be replaced, and those have all been taken care of. The replacement on the cracked sidewalks is tentatively scheduled for next week, but we do expect in the next week or 2 that will be also taken care of. They also plan to start the pond conversions. We've talked about this before. What we call Pond 2 is truly a sediment basin, and that's a temporary basin. The first step is they're going to have to muck that out and dry the material, and then that will be converted into a retention pond. And we expect that work to start in the next week or 2, probably next week, early next week. And I'm happy to report that the topsoil pile up on the ridge is being reduced. It continues almost every day, good or bad. There's that topsoil pile has been worked through and relocated so that it's not as much of an eyesore. Again, I expect the contractors will continue to do that for the next month or so, and any remaining topsoil will be appropriately placed. The weeds in the lawn, in the inner circle have been treated, as well as we've gotten some mowing done on the inside circle and on the outside circle, so it's starting to look quite a bit better. The main reestablishment of grass is going to have to wait until the weather cooperates a little more, which we anticipate late August, early September to get that working. But as far as just general maintenance, that is certainly on the books and has been taking place. I know that you've seen some contractors out working behind some of the cottages this week, and mainly what that has been is they're locating the foundation drains and making sure that they're daylighting to a swale and are away from the house. And just one last topic to mention, I know that we've had some activity over the last month or so out on the swap property, and there will continue to be intermittently work that's done in that area. And we hope by late summer they will start to work their way out of the area. The dust will be under control, and it'll be a nice green mountain, but you know, in the distance, and which you'll be able to see from campus will be in a much better condition than it currently is. And that we'll leave that for Herbie to go and get working on a path that everyone can use and go back to enjoying your property. Thank you, and let me know, please, if you have any questions or I didn't address any items that you have a concern about. And hopefully we can do one final Ask Julia in person before this is all said and done. Thanks.